The Bills slayed the Giant. This with the top five every week. I've had KC number one with the theory of to be the man, you got to beat the man. Well, Buffalo just beat the man.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams. And on today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition, we go over week 11 of the NFL season. Kind of think we're at the midpoint, so we can call it the midpoint. In segment one, we'll talk about the best, the worst, and most surprising. Segment two, our story of the week. Where are we in the midterm? And in segment three, we'll do our top five and talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. So, our teacher of the month every month, Mike Connors. Mike, what is the best thing you saw this weekend in the NFL?
Best thing I saw in the NFL this weekend was the Buffalo Bills. The Bills slayed the Giant. This with the top five every week. I've had KC number one with the theory of to be the man, you got to beat the man. Well, Buffalo just beat the man. Okay, Jaron Allen had over 260 yards of passing. They kept Mahomes under 200. Buffalo rushed for over 100 yards as a team. They had it all going on. I know it was a home game, so they had a little boost from the Buffalo Mafia, but I got to tip my cap today to Buffalo Bills for the best that I've seen this weekend.
All right. And making his maiden voyage along with one of our advisors on the academic side, Don Gibbons, it's Rory Gibbons. He is a senior in high school. We won't give too many identifying informations, but hey, Steelers Nation, you've got somebody on your side. Rory, what's the best thing you saw this weekend, sir?
I think the best thing I saw this weekend was the Steelers defense. They came up with numerous big stops against a tough Baltimore Ravens team. I think that especially a player like Minkah Fitzpatrick made a lot of plays today. So, yeah, I would say that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense was the best thing I saw this weekend.
All right. And in segment three, I will agree with you. Mike Connors, what is the worst thing you saw this weekend, sir?
The worst thing I saw this weekend was the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ooh.
They had under 200 yards of total offense, actually under 170 yards of total offense. I know their starting quarterback was not in, but that team is rivaling the Jets and Carolina as the worst franchise in football. I don't know what they're going to do down there. The owner claims that he loves the staff, he loves the players, but they need to change something up. I don't know what it is, but they are in a downward spiral in Jacksonville for sure.
Absolutely. I hope he is renting, not owning, because by the time this show comes out, a change may have occurred. Rory, what's the worst thing you saw in the NFL this weekend?
It wasn't this weekend, but it was this Thursday night. I think the Commanders falling apart against the Eagles. They were looking tough. They lost to my Steelers, and they've compounded their mistakes, and they had a tough loss against the Eagles. So I would say that was my worst thing this week.
Kick the field goal, man. What are you doing? Okay. And Connors, what's the most surprising thing you saw this weekend?
Seahawks beating the 49ers. I thought the 49ers with McCaffrey were going to run up and down all over them, let him prove to everybody that he set out with a reason to make sure he was 100% healthy. And he had a decent game, but I'm still surprised that Seattle went into the Bay Area and put the W up on the 49ers.
And Follower is out of the country right now.
I was wondering if he was going to be here, and when I was thinking about that, I was like, "Oh, I might get a look or two," but that's what I got to go with what I see. So
Follower is out of the country, so I don't even know if he watched the game. Shout out to his brother George and his beautiful bride. All right, Rory, what's the most surprising thing you saw in the NFL this weekend?
I'd have to say that the Bills beating the Chiefs by 2 scores. That's impressive. Going into that game, 9-0. The Chiefs were the team to beat. Josh Allen stepped up to the plate. He delivered. That was surprising to me. Big-time players making big-time plays, big-time games.
All right. You must have hung out with Coach Adams a little bit. So in segment 2, fans, we will have our story of the week. We'll talk a little bit about where we are at the halfway point. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project and author of Finding the Balance, my personal journey to academic and athletic success. This book is your key to unlocking the secrets of being a successful student athlete. Drawing from my 30-year career as a teacher and coach, this instructional guide offers a unique perspective on achieving success in both academics and athletics. With over 15 personal stories and insightful anecdotes, Finding the Balance is a must-read for student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators. Visit www.ckasafeproject.org to get your copy and start finding the balance today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 2. Story of the week. We're at the midway point of the season, and now is a good time to just kind of check where everybody is. So, Mike, what team, in your eyes, have been the most disappointing this season thus far?
I have to stay local in the New York area and go with the Jets. All preseason up here, New York Sports Radio is talking about them. It's Super Bowl or bust. It's a deep run or it's going to be a heartbreaking season. Rodgers was back from his torn Achilles. You know, that was an unfortunate incident, but they have done nothing right. I mean, Rodgers looked horrible again today. In the fourth quarter, he threw a backwards pass in like a minute and a half to go. And even the commentators were like, what is he doing? You know, Ambassador Johnson, as he demands to be called, fired the coach to light a spark. There's been no spark. Saleh, we talked about how he might not have been the best fit for New York, but at least he had them somewhat ready to play and more competitive. The poor guy that they put in charge, he's trying to run the defense and the show, and it's just not working out. Whether Rodgers retires after this year or comes back could hamstring this franchise for another year. So, unfortunately, the Jets tried to do all the right moves, and everything came back to bite them in the butt. And that's why up here we say the Jets are the Jets.
Yes, and it rarely ends well. Rory, which team, in your opinion, has been most disappointing this season?
I think for me, it's an obvious answer. The Cincinnati Bengals right now sitting at 4-6, a team that was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I mean, they got the former number 1 pick, Joe Burrow. He's supposed to be Joe Cool, throwing that rock, slinging it down the field, and we just haven't seen it. They played 2 close games against the Ravens, but they couldn't make it count when they needed to.
Yeah, that's a good pick, man. I can live with that. I can totally
Absolutely.
live with that. All right, Connors, which team has overachieved the most? I know where I'm going with it. What do you think? Which team has overachieved the most?
I got to go with the Purple People Eaters up in Minnesota. Who would have thought the Vikings, led by Sam Darnold, a New York Jets cast-off, would be sitting where they are? They're 8-2. They're doing really, really well. Darnold, stepping up, playing great. He's got over 2,000 yards passing so far. Their leading rusher has over 700 yards. Their leading receiver has over 830 yards. I mean, they are a team to contend with if they can keep it up for the whole season. I don't think anyone would have said they saw them as a 2-loss team at the halfway point.
Not at all. Not at all. And there was a stretch where George said the Vikings. Okay. Rory, in your opinion, what team has overachieved the most thus far this season?
For me, again, it's an easy answer. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers. Speaking of another 8-2 team going into this season, I mean, we were all expecting Mike Tomlin to pull out Mike Tomlin magic and secure a 9-7 season or 9-8. But going 8-2, this is the best start to a season we've had since I think 2021, where we went 11-0. But this team looks a lot better than that 2021 Steelers team. The offense is moving with Mr. Unlimited at quarterback. I think even going into the season with the battle between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, people didn't think the Steelers were going to pull this one out. But after big wins against the Commanders and the Ravens, 2 good teams who have shown to compete in the past, I think the defense is second to none in the league. TJ Watt is an easy top candidate for the Defensive Player of the Year. He's looking unreal this year. He's made highlight play after highlight play. He's been a serious game changer, in my opinion. Najee Harris is looking great, whether it's the losing weight or just he's running with passion now, it seems. The Steelers are I think they're breaking every expectation, and I personally think the sky's the limit for this team.
All right. And there's one person in your house that I had to convince a little bit, but we'll leave that there. All right, Mike. Which team could struggle the second half of the season? What do you think?
Coming off this past week, I got to go with the Commanders. I mean, I like Jaden Daniels a lot. I liked him coming out of LSU, but he is a rookie being thrown in with the big dogs. And they did not look good Thursday night against the Eagles. And now that's only one game. But if you had told me earlier in the season at the halfway mark they'd be 7-4, I would have given you a dirty look. Like, I don't know if that's true or not. So I hope they continue to play well because I like that young man. I think he's a class act, but I just don't know if the Commanders can keep it up for the full season.
Well, let's just say they've done enough to keep me entertained. But Rory, what team do you think could struggle the second half of this season?
Honestly, I'm going to come out with a hot take. I think the Ravens could see a lot of struggles in this second half of the season. Looking at their schedule, they play the Chargers, another great defense, and then the Eagles. The Eagles have been looking great. I mean, they get an easy game of the Giants, but back against Pittsburgh, that's always going to be a battle. And then the week after that, it's Cleveland. That's another AFC North team. They know Lamar well. It's proven that Lamar doesn't play well against teams that know him. I think the Ravens could struggle a lot in this second half of the season.
And John Harbaugh's still coaching, isn't he?
Yep.
That's an inside show joke. Okay. Yes, he will find a way to keep you in a ball game. All right, and Connors, finally, which team can break out in the second half of this season? What are you thinking?
I don't know if I can call it a breakout, but I just see the Detroit Lions continuing to run with the ball. I mean, they have looked outstanding all year. I love their coach. We've talked about that before.
They love that guy.
Any guy who goes into an interview and demonstrates blocking drills on an office chair is okay in my book. So I just think that it's Detroit's year. I think they're going to continue to run with it. I'm not saying they're going to finish with just one loss, but I think they're a team that is Super Bowl bound or bust this year.
Okay, Rory, finish this segment off, sir. Which team, in your opinion, could break out the second half of this season?
I would have to agree. I think the Detroit Lions could be a Super Bowl bound team. I mean, they proved it. Jared Goff throwing 5 interceptions, and they still pulled out a win. That's a team that knows how to win. I think the Detroit Lions could go very far this year.
All right, so in segment 3, we'll go with our top 5 from Mr. Connors, and we will talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. I was slightly entertained. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project, with a question for you. Are you passionate about supporting student athletes? If so, then become an official member of the CKA Save Project and make a difference today. With your membership, you'll be able to help us provide essential academic and athletic support to underserved communities nationwide. Join us in empowering student athletes to achieve their full potential, both on and off the field. Together, we can build a brighter future through education and sports. Visit ckasaveproject.org and choose your membership level now. $25 is a bronze level membership, $50 is a silver level membership, and $100 is a gold level membership. Be a part of the change. Become a member of the CKA Save Project today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. This is segment 3. Hit us with the top 5, Connors. You got it.
All right, here's what I got so far this week. A new number 1, dethroning the former champion Kansas City Chiefs, is the Detroit Lions. I have them at number 1. Right now at number 2, I have Buffalo. I know they have 2 losses, but they just beat Kansas City, so I can't good chances put them below them. 3, I have Kansas City. 4, I have Pittsburgh. And pulling in the 5th spot, I have Minnesota right now. I put them in over the Packers. I thought hard about that one, but I just think Minnie's got a little bit more of a resume than Green Bay right now. So that's my top 5. A new leader with Detroit, but KC as 3 right behind them.
All right, Rory, anything in this top 5 cause you pause or that you agree with?
I would definitely agree with leaving the Packers out of the top 5. Barely beating the Bears is not a good showing for Green Bay. If they're serious, how they always are, about making a deep playoff run, you cannot be winning. You cannot be waiting for a blocked field goal to win a football game.
Okay. All right. So my season-long bets, again, all of this is done strictly for entertainment purposes only. AFC North, Baltimore and Pittsburgh played each other. I do have the over for both teams. Pittsburgh is at 8. The over is 8.5. So the next win gets me to the pay window, and I'm comfortable that the Ravens can get 4 more wins. In the AFC South, I am the dum-dum. I believed in Jacksonville because I read Coach Peterson's book and thought he could turn it around. But I do have Tennessee under 6.5, and they're doing enough losing, so we'll be okay with that. AFC East, I'm not a believer in the Dolphins, so I took the under 9.5. And Buffalo, I took the over, and they're at 9 wins. I think they can get 2 more and get me to the pay window. I have lost my AFC West bet. Denver is already at 6 wins. But again, Las Vegas Raiders, they have 2. I took the under with that. In the NFC North, Connors is right. We are all loving Detroit. I have them over 10.5. And right now, what are they at, 9 or 10? Which one is it? Let me double check. We're at 9 wins.
9.
Yeah, we can roll that. I got faith in them. And we did take Green Bay over 9.5. They're at 7 wins now. NFC South, what happened with Atlanta, the worst sports town in the country? But I still think they can get 4 more wins and get to 10. And yes, I don't know why I picked the Carolina thing, so I'm going to skip that. NFC East, I took Washington the over. We already won. I drank the Dallas Kool-Aid thanks to my brother, so that's going to be a loser for me. But I'm feeling good about the NFC West. I took the over for LA Rams and Arizona. Arizona is already at 6 wins, and I think the Rams can get to the 9-win mark. So we're good. In terms of our Sunday bets, we were 3-4 this week after finishing 4-3 last week, so I'll take it. Game of the week, I had Buffalo minus 2.5. Took it home. My 2 play was Atlanta +2 and New England +4.5. No. 3 play, New Orleans +1, San Francisco minus 6.5. Geno with the comeback, and the Jets -4. I think I'm done with the Jets. My 4 play money line finally hit. Green Bay, Detroit, Miami, and Minnesota. So yes, I got excited about the block field goal. I took the Ravens and Pittsburgh over 48.5. I thought the defense wouldn't show as much as they did. I took the Jets and the under with Indy, and they scoring all over the place. And my upset pick was Pittsburgh over Baltimore because last I checked, Harbaugh was still coaching. So, Connors, did you do anything strictly for entertainment purposes only?
I did. I put a little on the Saints. I put a little on the Lions. And unfortunately, I put some on the Commanders. And I try to stay away from the AFC East because my Giants stink and I hate rooting for the other teams. But my wife kind of talked me into that one. And there you go, listening to the wife. So I was not happy with that one, but just those 3 this week.
All right. So games of interest next week. And Rory, when we get to the end, we're going to talk with you first. We've got Pittsburgh, Cleveland. Any thoughts on Pittsburgh playing on a short week, sir?
I mean, they handled business against one AFC North opponent. Cleveland, before Baker Mayfield, Big Ben was the all-time winningest quarterback in their home stadium. Yeah, I think it's going to be a win for the Steelers. I don't think they match up nearly as well as the Ravens did. I think we have a much stronger defense. I don't think Myles Garrett holds a candle to TJ Watt. I think that Najee Harris is going to run all over that Browns defense. And I think Mr. Unlimited is going to drop a few more moon balls into the bucket for George Pickens.
All right. And go ahead, Mike.
Games I'm looking at for next week are Dallas, Washington. That's always a good one. Washington can redeem themselves after a bad loss to the Eagles this week. Tennessee, Houston, for some reason, catches my interest. I know they're not 2 great teams, but that could be a good game, I think. And, of course, Philly versus the Rams Sunday night could be a little bit of a track meet, I think. We could put up some serious points over the over, whatever they set that at. But that could be an exciting game to watch. But other than that, not a lot of great games next week.
And Kansas City versus Carolina could be just what Kansas City's looking for. San Francisco's going against Green Bay. So we do have something that we'll keep an eye on. But, hey, this has been fun. And, Rory, you've been the youngest person on the show. So good to have you on your maiden voyage. And you are always welcome back, sir. So on behalf of our Cavalcade of Stars. I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches Podcast, and we'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches Podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches Podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches Podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.